So I've tried almost every fader there is. I've had the Fader Port 1, which I still have with the Studio One. I've tried the Fader Port 8, which was cool. I've had the old Avid fader. I've tried the new Avid fader. And they've all had their strengths, but they also have their weaknesses. I say if you're using Pro Tools, the new Avid S1 is probably the best fader. I had one problem with it though. It was way too big for my desk. And that's been my problem with all the Avid fader stuff, is it's just too big. I have a little desk and it took up the whole space. I would have to move my monitor. It just didn't work. The other problem with the Avid fader is it's super expensive. It's twice the price as all the other fader options. And for something that's not gonna make anything sound better, is just there to maybe help make your workflow a little bit better, I don't see the need to spend that much money on a fader. So I started looking at the Console 1 fader, and what I really liked about it was, one, it had 10 faders as opposed to 8, and two, there was a bunch of other features that I might be able to incorporate into my setup with the drive and adding saturation. Now, I use faders, or I wanted to use faders in a certain way. I only want them on my buses, so on my drum bus, on my bass bus, on my vocal bus, just so I can go really quickly to either mute one of them, or turn the vocals down a little bit, or ride the vocal up a little bit, stuff like that. I don't like faders on every single track with them all shifting back and forth. It's super annoying to me. So in today's video, I'm gonna show you how I use the Console Fader 1 in my Pro Tools setup, and all the cool features I've come up with along the way as I've been using it. Before we do get started, please make sure to like and subscribe. Let's go. All right, guys, so here is my session template. I've loaded some stems in here just so we have something to play with. But let me run down how I bus everything, and then it'll help make sense of how I'm using the Fader 1. So first is blue, and that's always my basses, okay? So that goes to the bass bus. Then my kicks and snares go to M drums, and those are just onto one bus. Then cymbals, bongos, stuff like that go to high percussion bus. Usually all my music goes to music bus. If I have guitars or other weird things, I'll create other buses, but a lot of times they all just go to one music bus, okay? And then up here, I start off with all my vocals going to one bus, and then I slowly break it down as I go mixing. Now let me show you the buses, and then you'll see, hopefully you can see this fader port enough, not fader port, for this Console 1 fader, so that you can see how it's broken down. So first is bass, and there goes to my bass bus here. Okay, and that is this fader. So what I wanted to have was these faders to always be at the same place throughout the mix. I don't want them moving and switching to different tracks, and that's why I have this tape. So this tape for every session is always the same. The drums are always on 1, high percussion is always on 2, bass is always on 3, okay? And that never changes in any session. So what I did is I would put a Console 1 at the bottom, the last track on each one of the buses that I want to use. So for this, I have bass is on just the regular bass. This is straight up bass, and sometimes this is all I'll use for the mix, right? But if it's a 808 or something I want, some more distortion, a little more growl to it, I have the second bus, which is called bass distort, and that's this one. You can tell right when you start my template, it's all the way down and muted. So this isn't a factor until I want to turn it up. And that's one of the things I love about this, is I can be listening and be like, this bass needs a little more, growl to it. Hit mute, turn it up, and start listening, and I can get it into where it's not too much or not too little, so on and so forth, okay? This next fader is called Bass W, otherwise known as bass width. And it's something I'm experimenting with, and sometimes I want the 808 to have a little more width on the top end, so you hear it a bit more. And so that's what I can do with this. I can bring that up, and it gives a little bit of a stereo spread, but just on the higher end of it, not the low end. And music is these green ones, which go to this main music auxiliary, right? So there's that, and I can mute the music if I want, turn it back on. Then I have the lead vocals, and then at the top, I have these 3 final buses, which are all drums, all music, and all vocals. And I have those if I just want to globally, I just need to turn all the vocals off, I can do that really quick. If I just want to turn all the music off and just hear the drums and the vocals, I can do that really quick. So that's how I have this set up, and it's been a really great way to work all this stuff. Now, what I wasn't expecting to use as much, and what I found I'm using a lot, is this drive section. So this is what's different from any other fader. You have more stuff to play with. And if you bring up this display, you'll see each one of my buses have different consoles. So Drums and percussion are the 4000, which a lot of times gets switched to the British Class A, which is the Neve 1073, but right now they're starting at the 4000. Then the basses are going to the British Class A, right? Then my bass width is going to the 9000. That's just because I'm still playing with it. It doesn't really matter in this case. Main music's going to the 4000, lead vocals going to a 4000, and then the 3 last buses are just going to 9,000. Now what's cool about this is I can take this, right? And if I want my drums just to cut a little bit harder, some harmonic distortion will really kind of push them forward. And I can just bring those up and you'll hear the drums just start hitting a bit harder. And what's great about this too is I have a drive button. So I can go to my drive button, right? And I can switch out different kinds of harmonics for each bus. So a lot of times what I'll do for the music bus, for instance, is switch it to the tape. And I like that sound that it gives with that, or the tube. Really depends on what I'm looking for. And it's been something that's really helped elevate my mixes by doing it this way. Really cool device. This is probably the best fader I've found for Pro Tools, even though I'm using it in kind of a weird way. And what I like most about it is it's small. Look how small this is. It fits right here. It has 10 faders instead of 8, which most just have 8. And I can really reach down and grab them very fast. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys if you're looking for some sort of new fader. I really think the Fader 1 is the best option I've found for what I like to do, how I like to set things up. Other thing I really like about it is it works super well with Studio One. Let me know what you guys are using for faders. What have you found to be the best for Pro Tools or Studio One? Please like and subscribe if you can. If you need a song mixed and mastered, hit me up at mixandmastermysong.com. You can also find my courses and presets there too. See you soon.